Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Akemi, and in today's video I'm gonna be reviewing and rating all the books I read over the past 2 months. So let's get started. So let's begin with the first in our list, The Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I wanted to read this book for ages. Everyone recommended it, so it was time to give it a go. This is a self-help book with an anti-positivity outlook. Instead of forcing you to be happy all the time and become the best version of yourself, the author tells you several harsh truths in his unapologetic sense of humor. The book states that happiness doesn't come from chasing success or perfection, but from embracing struggles, failures, and your own limitations. So when you choose what to give a fuck about, you begin to give more facts about what truly matters. I like that this book challenges traditional self-help advice. It has a realistic and relatable approach to life. The first part of the book is absolutely hilarious and painfully honest. However, the rest of the book is somehow similar to other personal growth books that I have read. It explores stuff like knowing your core values, finding meaning, and learning to say no. The advice was quite vague. It didn't provide any practical tips, which I think is key for self-help books, in my opinion. Now that I've read several personal growth books, which are quite broad, I realized that they all offer similar advice, but are presented in different form. So at this point, I think I might benefit from authors who explore specific topics and themes. Anyway, I recommend The Art of Not Giving a Fuck if you are new to self-help books and you want a simple read and actually down to earth. The next one is Bullet Journal by Ryder Carroll. I decided to read this book because I just had the most over the place year ever. 2023 was quite a mess, and suddenly I stopped using Google Calendar, which was my mainly organizational tool. This book dives into a journaling method that helps you organize tasks, track progress, and reflect on your life. The author shares an organization system that he created himself and has helped thousands of people worldwide live a more productive and intentional life. The bullet journal, or bujo, consists in a set of customizable pages that serve a specific purpose. For example, the daily log in which you write down tasks, events, and notes. The book walks you through each of these pages so you can set up your own bullet journal. Your job is to fill a blank notebook of your choice, following the steps described in the book, and adapt it to your own needs and preferences. If you, like me, are a visual person, it can help to support the reading with tutorials from the Bullet Journal YouTube channel. By the way, these are two of my favorite quotes from this book. Productivity is about getting more done by working on fewer things. I think this is a definition of productivity that is spot on. And the second one, in a cut and paste world that celebrates speed, we often mistake convenience for efficiency. When we take shortcuts, we forfeit opportunities to slow down and think. I think that one of the characteristics of a bujo is that it forces you to stop and make a pause, which is so hard but essential in today's world. I've been using the bullet journal since the beginning of the year, and I'm so happy that I can keep my to-dos, goals, and thoughts all in the same journal. It helps me stay organized and focus on what I want. So I recommend this book to anyone who is going back and forth with different organization tools and is not completely satisfied with any of them. The third one is Talk Like Dead by Carmine Gallo. This is the second time I read this book. The first one was in 2017, 2018, and I remember I used to like this book, and also remember that it had a section on storytelling, which is something that I want to get better at. This book analyzes the most popular TED Talks ever and identifies the key principles to creating a successful presentation. It showcases 9 practical tips to level up your public speaking skills. like keeping your presentation up to 80 minutes or creating moments of awe within your talk. So the second time I read this book, I wasn't that impressed. I felt like some of the advice was quite obvious, like talking about something you're passionate about. And it kind of threw me off the way it was written, which reminded me of the old school personal growth books. You know, like using expressions like the keys to success or the secrets to such and such thing. However, I think it's a good read for anyone who needs to give a presentation at work or school and is unsure of what to start with. In regarding storytelling, I found that to create a captivating talk, 65% of the time should be dedicated to telling stories and anecdotes, which is way more than I expected. Then we have Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. As I was doing my research on storytelling, I came across this book. The authors dive into the question, why do some ideas survive and prosper while others quickly fade away? They identify 6 principles that make ideas sticky and memorable and explain them through real life cases. One of these principles, and maybe the one that concerns me the most, is stories. The authors explain that stories are a powerful tool for conveying ideas and connecting with emotions. They help illustrate our points, make them relatable, and create a lasting impression. For example, the book shares how Subway in the late 90s spread a story of a college student who lost 245 pounds by eating their new line of healthy sandwiches. That story soon went viral, and Subway's sales increased by 34% in 2 years. As the authors say, we need to be ready to spot the good stories that life generates every day. Judging by the introduction, I thought this book was gonna be one of a kind, but it was just good. I only wished it was more entertaining because the chapters were a bit difficult to go through, in my opinion. All in all, this book is a must-read if you're interested in marketing or you have a business idea that you want to test. The next book is Make Time by Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky. I wanted to read this book because it was recommended by some of my favorite creators, and I think the cover is really good. This book highlights that making time isn't about getting more things done. Instead, it's about creating space for the things that brings you joy and fulfillment. It shares a framework with more than 80 tactics that help you minimize distractions, focus on your priorities, and boost your energy throughout the day. The authors encourage you to pick some of these tactics and test them until you find the ones that work best for you. I highly recommend this book. It's easy to go through, 100% practical and hilarious. It's written in short fragments of text and has illustrations and visuals that make the content more engaging. I already made a list of the tactics that I want to apply, like number 71, caffeinate before you crash. Basically, I want to try having a small cup of coffee before going to class to survive the 4-hour lectures. Not to mention that classes are in the afternoon, just when I feel the most drained. The next one in the list is Long Story Short by Margaret Littman. I came across this book on YouTube while looking for storytelling resources, and I never heard about it before. It is not a popular storytelling book, but you know, I had nothing to lose, so I gave it a go. The author is a professional storyteller and winner of multiple competitions in his field. In her book, she shares insights, techniques, and exercises to help readers become better at telling stories. This book walks you through many aspects of storytelling, like finding, shaping, and delivering memorable stories and connecting with your audience, always from a place of vulnerability and relatability. This book is perfect for content creators and anyone who wants to build their personal brand. It's funny and relatable. Here are 2 of my favorite quotes from the book. Indifference is the enemy of storytelling. If you do not feel strongly about what you're talking about, the audience won't care about it either. I think it's important to choose carefully what stories we want to tell. And second one is, as listeners, we often care more about how you felt about what happened than what actually happened. Facts are boring, but what makes the story stand out, I think, is the way you express how you felt about it. I love this book. I can't wait to do the prompts and start building my own stories. As a visual person, I appreciated this kind of quote posters. I think they are so original and they give it a fresh look. The only thing that the book misses is a chapter about non-funny stories like inspirational or self-improvement stories, because I think they're worth sharing as well. And the last one is Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. This is the only fiction book that I read. Obviously, I need to read more fiction. I got introduced by Christie's books on high school when I read And They Were None, and I absolutely loved it. I'm gonna read the blurb provided by Goodreads because I think that it does justice to the quality of this book. Just after midnight, a snowdrift stops the famous Orient Express in its tracks as it travels through the mountainous Balkans. The luxurious train is surprisingly full for the time of the year, but by the morning, it is one passenger fewer. An American tycoon lies dead in his compartment, stabbed 8,000 times. His door locked from the inside. One of the passengers is none other than Detective Hercule Poirot on vacation. Isolated and with a killer on board, Poirot must identify the murderer in case he or she decides to strike again. Oh my gosh. First, I want to mention that I didn't read this book. I listened to it. I didn't have the audiobook files, so I enabled the text-to-speech feature on my iPad, and I think that lowered my enjoyment of this book. I wanted to try if I could read more books by listening to them. And that was true, because I got to finish more books, but at the expense of missing their charm. Turns out I'm not an auditory person at all. Anyway, back to this novel. I think it was really good. The plot is creepy, and the deepness of Poirot's logic is fascinating. When the characters were first introduced, I felt a bit overwhelmed and worried that I might not remember who they were. But as the story unfolded, each of them was carefully described, to my relief. I recommend this book if you're curious and interested in thrillers and want a short and hooking read. Alright guys, those were my honest reviews of all the books that I read over the past 2 months. This is my first time reviewing books, so I know I'm not good at this, but I wanted to try. I really love reading books, and this is quite of a challenge for me. The script of this video actually took me 3 weeks. Just ignore that. Now share with me what books you've been reading lately. I will try to reply to all of your comments. Like and subscribe for more content like this. See you on the next one. Ciao ciao!